She had humiliated a man simply because he looked poor and worked at a construction site. She insulted him cruelly, poured water over him in public, and treated him as if he were invisible, less than nothing. But one day she turned on her television and froze in utter shock when she saw that very same man addressing the entire nation. Who was he really? What secret had he been hiding beneath the dust and sweat? Stay with us as this incredible story unfolds, moment by moment. Now, let the story begin. It was a sweltering afternoon in the bustling city of Enugu. Cars crawled along the busy roads while people hurried about their day. Across the street, construction workers had paused for a much-needed break after hours of hauling blocks and mixing cement under the relentless sun. Among them was a young man named Darius. His clothes were stiff with dried cement. Sweat glistened on his face and neck, and his boots were caked in dust. He wiped his brow with the back of his hand and crossed the road carefully. "All I need right now is something cold to drink," he murmured to himself. "This sun is trying to finish someone today." He stepped into a large roadside supermarket near the site. Inside, several customers turned to stare at his appearance. A woman near the entrance clutched her handbag tighter. Two boys stopped mid-conversation to look him up and down. A man nearby frowned at the sight of his dirty clothes and quickly looked away. Darius noticed the stares, but kept his composure. He walked further in, searching the shelves. Where do they keep the soft drinks? He wondered quietly. The store was unfamiliar and expansive, with aisles of food, toiletries, and household goods. He looked around for an attendant to ask for help. That was when he saw her, a young woman in uniform, walking past with a bottle of water. Her name was Lila. Her expression was tight and unwelcoming, as if the day had already worn her patience thin. Darius approached politely. "Hello, excuse me," he called. Lila continued walking without acknowledging him. Surprised, he thought perhaps she hadn't heard and quickened his pace. "Hello, excuse me," he tried again. Still nothing. People nearby began to glance over, finally reaching her. He gently touched her shoulder from behind. "Beautiful lady," he said calmly, "I was calling you. Didn't you hear me?" "I just wanted," before he could finish. Lila whirled around and poured the entire bottle of water straight into his face. The supermarket fell into stunned silence. Cold water streamed down Darius's face and soaked into his shirt. He stood motionless, too shocked to react. Lila pointed at him furiously. "How dare you touch me?" she shouted. "Look at you, a dirty construction worker. Who gave you the nerve to lay a hand on me?" Customers turned to watch in disbelief. One woman covered her mouth. Another whispered, "What did he even do?" Darius slowly wiped his face with his hand. His eyes clouded with confusion. I'm sorry," he said softly. "I was only trying to ask where I could find soft drinks and pastries. You didn't answer when I called." But Lila would not calm down. "So because I work here, you think you can just touch me?" she yelled. "People like you have no respect." Darius looked around at the sea of staring eyes. The weight of their judgment pressed down on him, mixing with the exhaustion already in his body from the long morning's labor. He felt deeply ashamed. Unbeknownst to Lila, another attendant named Maya had witnessed the entire scene. She hurried over. "What you just did is wrong," Maya said firmly. Lila spun toward her. "Excuse me." "The man did nothing to you," Maya continued. "He called you several times, but you ignored him. He only wanted help." Lila folded her arms and looked away dismissively. Maya turned to Darius with a gentler tone. "I am so sorry for what happened, sir. What exactly are you looking for?" Darius lowered his gaze briefly. "I just need soft drinks and pastries." Maya pointed toward the appropriate aisle. "They're over there, by the second shelf. Thank you," he replied quietly. As he walked away to make his selections, whispers followed him. Some customers still stared. Others shot disapproving looks at Lila. Darius chose a bottle of soda, water, and 2 meat pies, but the embarrassment lingered like an open wound. After paying, he walked out slowly. Crossing the road, he paused and glanced back at the supermarket, his expression serious and thoughtful. Then he returned to the construction site without a word. Inside, Customers gradually resumed shopping as if nothing had occurred. But Maya kept glancing at Lila, whose face remained set in anger. Neither of them had any idea that the humble construction worker they had just witnessed being humiliated was harboring a secret beyond anyone's imagination in that store. As the supermarket closed for the day, workers changed and headed home along the now quieting street. Maya and Lila, who were roommates and had been friends since their school days, walked together. Maya had moved to Enugu for work after university, and later Lila had come to stay with her. Maya remained quiet during the walk, her mind replaying the supermarket incident. The image of the embarrassed worker refused to leave her thoughts. Lila, however, acted as though nothing unusual had happened, even seeming calm and justified. Once home in their small room, Maya finally spoke. "Lila, what you did today was not right." Lila looked at her. "What are you talking about?" "The man you poured water on," Maya said. "He did nothing wrong. He only asked for help." Lila gave a short laugh. "And did you see how he looked? Dirty, smelling of cement. He even touched me." "Why would he do that?" Maya pulled out a chair and sat. "Lila, that is not how to treat people. It doesn't matter how someone looks, you still have to show them respect." Lila shook her head. "You don't understand. I can't allow just any random man to touch me like that." Maya leaned forward. "So that means you can humiliate anyone just because you think they're poor?" Lila didn't answer at first. Then she stood up. "I never said anything wrong. All I want is a good life. I don't want a poor man. I want a man who can take care of me properly." Maya looked at her with concern. "So because someone is poor, they don't deserve respect?" Lila replied sharply. "That man was dirty. He had no right to touch me." "No right at all," Maya sighed. "Being poor is not a crime, Lila." Lila turned her face away. "I don't care." The room fell quiet. Maya sat there, visibly upset. She knew Lila well, proud, quick to look down on others, always believing her beauty entitled her to a wealthy partner. She had often declared she would never marry a poor man, even back in their university days. Lila's attitude had caused issues, but Maya had stayed by her side because Lila had no one else then. Maya had always been the compassionate one, the helper, the forgiver. That night, Maya lay awake staring at the ceiling, sleep eluding her. She couldn't stop thinking about the construction worker and the uneasy feeling that this was only the beginning of something much larger. On their next day off, Maya and Lila went to the market to buy groceries. On their way back, the road took them past their workplace and the large construction site opposite. Work was still underway, with workers lifting blocks and mixing cement under the sun. Darius was there too, overseeing and working alongside the team. As they walked by, Lila suddenly stopped. Her eyes locked onto Darius across the road. The memory of the supermarket incident flooded back, and anger surged through her. Before Maya could react, Lila crossed the road straight into the site. "Lila," Maya called after her. "Where are you going?" Lila didn't stop. Workers paused to watch as she marched up to Darius. He had already seen her approaching and stood waiting calmly before he could speak. Lila raised her voice, warning him never to touch her again with his filthy, poverty-stricken hands. The entire site went quiet. All eyes turned to them. Some workers whispered among themselves, "Does she even know who he is?" Darius remained composed. "I'm sorry," he said evenly. "That day was a mistake. I only wanted to ask where I could find what I needed to buy." Lila cut him off. "I don't care what you wanted. Do not ever touch me again," her voice echoed. Maya had run across and now stood beside her. "Lila, stop. He did nothing to you." But Lila ignored her, gave Darius one last hard glare, and turned to walk away as if nothing had happened. An awkward silence lingered. Maya stood there, mortified. She looked at Darius. "I am so sorry, sir. I am really sorry. She's my roommate. I don't even know what's wrong with her." Darius met her gaze calmly. "It's fine." Then he asked, "What is your name?" "Martha," she replied. He offered a small smile. "I'm Darius. Unlike your friend, you seem very kind." Maya felt a shy warmth. "Thank you, sir." She turned and walked back. On the site, the workers were still watching Darius. He looked around and said calmly, "Go back to work, everyone, one by one." They resumed their tasks. In the time that followed, whenever Maya and Lila passed the site after work, Maya would greet Darius politely if he was nearby. "Good evening, sir." He would always respond kindly. "Good evening, Maya." Sometimes he even greeted Lila, but she would look away and quicken her pace, refusing to acknowledge a man she believed was beneath her. Darius never reacted negatively. He simply observed. Darius nodded. After a brief pause, he spoke again. "Can I walk you home? There's a small food shop nearby. I was going there to eat. If you don't mind, I can buy you dinner as well and walk you home after." Maya hesitated, then agreed. "Okay, I don't mind." They walked to the simple open-air roadside eatery with basic tables and chairs. They sat and ordered. While waiting, a comfortable silence settled before Darius broke it. "How was work today?" "It was fine," Maya answered. Conversation flowed more easily as they ate. At one point, Darius grew quiet, then said honestly, "Maya, I have to be honest with you. I was actually interested in your friend Lila at first." Maya paused, listening. "But after what happened," he continued, "I don't think I can be any more. Her character is too harsh." Maya gave a small, understanding smile. "Lila can be difficult sometimes." Darius raised an eyebrow. "Yes," Maya went on, "even back in school." He looked curious. "You two went to school together?" Maya nodded. "Yes, we were course mates at university. After we graduated, I came to Enugu looking for work. I didn't get the job I hoped for, so I took the one at the supermarket. That's how I started there. Later, Lila needed a place, so she came to stay with me." She took a bite, then added, "She hasn't always been this way. Sometimes she can be sweet, but her pride takes over." Darius regarded her thoughtfully. "You are a very kind person," he said. Maya smiled softly. "Thank you." They finished their meal, and he walked her home as promised. At her door, she thanked him for the food and the company. He smiled and turned to leave. Maya went inside, where Lila was already waiting. Lila heard the door and Maya's voice speaking to someone outside. "Who did you come back with?" she asked. Maya paused. "The same construction worker you embarrassed that day." Lila's face shifted. She let out a dismissive sound and turned away. Maya continued, "He even said he liked you at first, but not anymore." Lila turned back sharply. "What?" Maya met her eyes calmly. "He said your character put him off." Lila's eyes widened. "God forbid. Me with a construction worker?" "Never." Maya stayed quiet for a moment, then spoke softly. "He's still a human being. He works hard. He takes care of himself. He's responsible. Don't let pride push good people out of your life." Lila folded her arms. "If he is not wealthy, he's not worthy." The room grew still. Maya didn't argue further, but in that silence, something had begun to shift, even if Lila couldn't see it yet. Not long after, during a lunch break, Maya carried a bag of food to the construction site. The sun blazed as workers bustled about. She asked one of them where Darius was and was directed to the other side of the building. Soon he appeared, looking surprised to see her. "Maya," he said. She smiled and held out the bag. "I brought this for you." He looked puzzled. "For me?" "Yes," she said gently. "It's just food. I wanted to say thank you." "You didn't have to do this," he replied. "It's nothing. Please don't reject it." He accepted it with a small smile. "Thank you. I really appreciate this. Take care," she said. "You too." She turned and left. From inside the supermarket, Lila watched through the glass door, her expression darkening as she saw them talking. When Maya returned, Lila confronted her immediately. "You're really doing too much," she said. Maya looked at her. "What do you mean?" Lila crossed her arms. "Why are you so attached to that construction worker?" "He's just an ordinary man." Maya stayed calm. "I only gave him food because he helped me before. That's all." Lila made a sound of disbelief. "You're wasting your time with a poor guy." Maya didn't reply and went back to work. As time went on, Maya and Darius began seeing each other more frequently, not every day, but often enough after work or during short breaks. They would greet each other and talk for a few minutes. Nothing serious yet, but a quiet connection was forming. Lila noticed and would remark, "Maya, why are you so unambitious?" But Maya never argued. She simply stayed true to herself. And Darius, whenever he looked at Maya, something in his gaze was changing, something neither of them had put into words yet. Eventually, the massive glass building at the construction site was completed. It towered above the surrounding structures, drawing admiration from passers-by. News spread across Enugu about the new headquarters of a prominent real estate company. On the day of the official opening, important figures, business leaders, government officials, and media gathered. Luxury cars lined up outside as cameras captured the event. It happened to be Maya and Lila's day off, so they were at home watching the live broadcast on television. Lila recognized the building immediately. "Isn't that the building opposite our supermarket?" she whispered. Maya stopped and looked at the screen. "That's the same building where Darius worked," she said. Lila kept watching. "That building is really impressive." Then the anchor announced, "Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to invite the founder and CEO of this great company to give his speech. Please welcome Mr. Darius Kane." The name caught Lila's attention. She had heard of Darius Kane, the owner of one of the country's largest real estate companies, but she had never seen his face. Few people had. A man stepped forward to the podium. The moment Lila saw his face clearly on the screen, her body went rigid. Maya froze beside her. It was Darius, the same man from the construction site. The same man Lila had poured water on and insulted publicly. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Only the television filled the silence. Maya slowly sat down. Her eyes locked on the screen. "I don't understand," she whispered on the broadcast. Darius adjusted the microphone and began speaking in a calm, steady voice. "Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for being here today. This building means a great deal to me and to my company." As the CEO, he looked down briefly, then back at her. "I am sorry I didn't tell you who I am. We never really had time to talk properly. Every time we met, it was always brief. And the way Lila treated me that day made me think a lot. It showed me how people can judge and treat others just because they assume they're poor. But you were different. You never treated me badly. Even when I had cement stains on my clothes, you still spoke to me with respect. That made me see your heart." Maya listened carefully, then said, "Being poor doesn't make someone less human. I saw you as a good man, respectful, calm, hardworking. That's why I got close to you." Darius smiled, touched by her words. No one had spoken to him like that in a long time. After they finished eating, they got back into the car. "Let's drive around the city," Darius told the driver. The car moved through the streets as city lights passed by outside. Inside, they talked more freely, laughed softly, and shared stories. Time slipped away unnoticed. Then Darius grew quiet. He looked at Maya. "I need to tell you something," he said softly. She turned to him. He continued, "I like you, Maya. I want us to be together." Maya's breath caught. She could see the sincerity in his eyes, no joke, just truth. Her heart beat steadily. Then she spoke. "I like you too." "I've liked you for a long time." Surprise and warmth crossed Darius's face. Maya smiled. "I just didn't know it was this strong." The tension between them eased. They moved closer and held each other. For a moment, everything felt peaceful and right. Darius spoke again. "Will you be my girlfriend?" "Yes," Maya answered. The car continued through the city, but everything had changed. Two lives had quietly found each other. Later that night, Darius dropped Maya at her house. She stepped out slowly. Before going inside, she turned back. "Thank you for today," she said softly. He smiled. "Don't mention it." The car drove away. Maya entered the house. Lila was sitting inside, arms folded, clearly waiting. Maya greeted her. "Hi." Lila didn't reply. Her eyes followed Maya closely. She had seen the car and the smile, and she already knew something had shifted. But she said nothing. Inside her mind, thoughts battled. What if that had been me? He chose her. Then her face slowly changed. The jealousy returned, stronger than before. Her voice came out low. If I cannot have him. She paused. Then no one can. As the days went by, Darius and Maya grew very close. Almost every evening after work, he would come to pick her up from the supermarket. Sometimes they went out to eat. Sometimes he took her shopping for clothes. Other times they simply sat and talked for hours before he drove her home. But unknown to Maya, Darius was planning something special for her. At the same time, Lila was planning something entirely different. While Darius was working in his office, his phone buzzed with a voice message from an unknown number. He almost ignored it, but something made him open it. A voice came through. "Good afternoon, sir." "This is Lila." Darius's face changed immediately. He almost stopped the message or blocked the number, but he listened. Lila continued. "I know you may never want to speak to me again, and I understand. But I need to tell you something about Maya." Darius's hand paused on the phone. He listened more intently now. "Did Maya ever tell you she has a daughter?" Lila asked. "A little girl, about 5 years old." Darius froze. "A daughter," he whispered. The message went on. "When I first stayed with Maya, the child was living with her. Later, she said she sent the child to her parents. You may not believe me, but I have proof." Moments later, files arrived, pictures, screenshots, short videos. Darius opened them one by one. One photo showed Maya holding a little girl who smiled up at her. They looked remarkably alike. Another showed the girl with Maya and her parents. Then there was a screenshot of a birthday post from Maya's WhatsApp status. "I love you so much, my baby, my angel." Darius stared at the images, his heart growing heavier with each one. The more he saw, the more real it felt. He leaned back in his chair as everything inside him began to break. He had already fallen deeply for Maya. He had trusted her. Now his mind was filled with painful questions. Why hadn't she told him? Why hide something like this? In that moment of hurt and confusion, he made a rash decision. He picked up his phone and blocked Maya. He blocked every way she could reach him. Later that evening, as his car reached the company gate, he stopped and called the security guards. His voice was cold. "From today, do not allow Maya into this company. Not even once." The guards looked surprised but replied quickly. "Yes, sir." The car drove away. That night, Maya waited. She kept checking her phone, but there was no call or message from Darius. Something felt terribly wrong, and she didn't yet know her world was about to shift again. The next morning, Maya tried calling Darius, but the calls didn't go through. She sent WhatsApp messages that wouldn't deliver. She stared at her phone for a long time, her chest tightening. At work, she couldn't focus, constantly checking her phone. Nothing. By evening, she was mentally exhausted as she walked out of the supermarket. Then she saw Darius's car driving out of the company gate. Her heart leapt. She raised her hand and tried to wave. "Darius!" she called out. But the car didn't stop. It kept moving until it was gone. Maya stood still. Confusion etched on her face. Why didn't he stop? She asked herself. She walked home slowly, thoughts racing. Did I do something wrong? Did I say something bad? Why is he avoiding me? She found no answers. That night, she lay in bed, but couldn't sleep. Across the room, Lila lay quietly, watching Maya all day. She had noticed the sadness and silence. A small, satisfied smile formed on her face. "So it is working," she whispered to herself before turning away. Maya stayed awake the entire night, her mind heavy. The next morning, she made a decision. "I will go early. I will wait for him outside the company until he talks to me." She woke very early, got ready quickly, and headed to the company. It was still dark when she arrived. She sat on the curb outside the gate and waited. After a while, the security guard noticed her and came out. "Remember, you're not allowed into the company premises," he said. Maya looked at him calmly. "I know." He regarded her for a moment but said nothing more. Time passed slowly. Then a car approached the gate. Maya stood up immediately, her heart racing. It was Darius. Before the car could pass, she ran in front of it and blocked the entrance. The car stopped abruptly, the horn blaring repeatedly, but Maya didn't move. "Darius, please talk to me," she shouted. "Tell me what I did wrong." The security guard rushed forward. "Move," he ordered, trying to pull her away. But Maya sat down on the ground. "I will not move until he talks to me." Inside the car, Darius was silent for a moment. Then he rolled down the window. "Let her in," he said coldly. The guard quickly opened the gate. Maya stood and ran in behind the car. Darius parked and stepped out, walking straight into the building without looking at her. Maya followed quickly. "Darius, please wait." They entered his office. He pointed to a chair. "Sit." Maya shook her head. "No, I'll stand. Just tell me what I did." Darius looked at her for a long time. Then he picked up his phone and showed her the pictures, videos, and screenshots. Maya's face changed as she saw them. Darius said, "Why didn't you tell me you have a daughter?" "I trusted you." Maya stared at him, then suddenly let out a breath. "Wait, is this why you've been acting like this?" Darius frowned. "What do you mean?" Maya looked at the phone again. "Where did you get this from?" Darius replied, "Your roommate, Lila." Maya closed her eyes for a moment, then spoke calmly. "That is not my daughter." "She is my brother's child." Darius froze, listening closely now. Maya explained everything steadily. "My brother went abroad years ago. The family helped him go. But when he got there, life wasn't easy. His girlfriend discovered she was pregnant just as he left. When the baby was born, she couldn't take care of her alone. She struggled with the child for about a year. Then one morning, she brought the child to my parents. She said she could no longer feed herself and the child. My brother was still struggling abroad at the time. I became very close to her. She felt like my own child because I cared for her every day. That's why people think she is mine. But she is not my daughter." Silence filled the room. Darius looked down for a moment, then back at her. Maya continued, "Most people never even asked me. They just assumed. And Lila, she never asked either. She just guessed." Darius stayed still as everything began to make sense. Maya stepped closer. "I would never hide something like that from you. If I had a child, I would tell you." Her eyes grew moist. "I was hurting when you ignored me. I didn't understand why you suddenly changed." Darius closed his eyes briefly. When he opened them, his voice was low. "I'm sorry. I should have asked you directly." Maya stayed quiet. Then she said, "It hurt me, but I understand now." Darius relaxed slightly. Then he said, "But you cannot stay in that house anymore. It isn't safe for you there. If Lila could plan this against you, there's no telling what she might do next." He paused. "After work today, wait for me. I have something for you." Maya looked confused. "What is it?" Darius smiled slightly. "You will see." Maya left the office slowly, still processing everything. That day at work, she couldn't stop smiling. Even as she worked, she kept thinking about him. In the evening, Darius came to pick her up. When Lila saw them together again, happy and close, her face changed. She couldn't believe it. But she said nothing. She only watched. Later, Darius drove Maya to one of his company estates and stopped in front of a beautiful apartment building. Maya looked confused. "Where are we?" Darius stepped out and walked to her side. Then he handed her a key. Maya froze. "What is this?" "This is your new home," he said. Maya couldn't speak for a moment. She looked at the building, then at him, then back at the key. "This is for me." "Yes," he said. Tears filled her eyes. She hugged him tightly. "Thank you. Thank you so much." Darius smiled. "You deserve safety, not stress." They walked inside together. The apartment was beautiful, clean and fully furnished. Everything was already arranged, including new clothes Darius had bought for her hanging in the wardrobe. Maya covered her mouth in shock. She couldn't believe it. That night, Darius drove her back to the old apartment so she could pack her things. When they entered, Lila was sitting inside. She saw them, saw the bags, saw Maya packing, but she said nothing. She just sat there quietly watching. Maya didn't argue or shout. She simply packed her belongings. Then she looked at Lila one last time and walked out. Lila remained silent. On the way to the new apartment, Darius spoke. "I will get you a better job soon, at the new headquarters. For now, just rest." Maya smiled softly. "Thank you." That night, Maya lay in her new room. The bed was soft, the room quiet. No stress, no fear. For the first time in days, she slept peacefully from that night onward. Everything changed for Maya and Darius. They became deeply connected. They spent more time together, went out together, and talked about everything. Slowly, Darius came to know Maya more and more, and she began to understand him better. One weekend, they visited Maya's parents. It was there that Darius finally saw the little girl properly. He smiled when he saw her, and the child was happy to see Maya too. After that day, nothing stood between them. Darius kept his promise and gave Maya a good job at the company headquarters. Now they saw each other even more often. Every day felt better than the last. One evening, Darius called Maya out for dinner, just like always. Nothing seemed unusual. They sat at their reserved table, ate together, talked, and laughed softly. But then Darius grew quiet. Maya noticed immediately. She looked at him carefully. "Is everything okay?" He didn't answer. He just looked at her, his face serious. Maya's heart began to feel uneasy. "Darius, what is wrong?" she asked again. Still, he said nothing. Then slowly he stood up. He moved to her side and went down on one knee. Maya froze. Her eyes widened. Her hands went to her mouth. She couldn't believe what she was seeing. Darius looked up at her and said, "Maya, will you marry me?" Silence filled the restaurant. Maya's eyes filled with tears. She couldn't speak at first. Then she finally said, "Yes, yes, I will." Her voice shook with happiness. That night became one of the most important nights of their lives. Months later, their wedding day arrived. It was a grand celebration. People came from everywhere, and the whole city talked about it. It was even shown on television. But not everyone was happy. Somewhere far away, Lila sat alone watching the wedding on television. She saw Maya. She saw Darius. She saw everything. Her face changed slowly, her eyes growing heavy. She remembered everything she had done, everything she had said, everything she had caused. Now it was too late, she whispered to herself. I lost him, and for the first time, she felt the full weight of her own actions. The wedding continued on the screen, but for Lila, it felt like the end of something she could never fix. And that was how it all ended. This story reminds us that appearances can be deceiving. Never look down on someone because of their job, their clothes, or their current situation. A kind heart and good character will always matter more than wealth or status. The way we treat people today can shape the blessings or regrets we face tomorrow. What do you think about Lila's actions and the choices she made? Do you believe she truly regretted everything in the end? Share your thoughts in the comment section. We would really love to read your comments and hear your opinions. Another powerful and emotional story will be coming to this channel very soon. So make sure you subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you'll be among the first to know when it drops. If you enjoyed this story, please give this video a like and share it with your friends and loved ones so they can enjoy it too. Thank you so much for watching, and we truly appreciate your support. See you again in the next story.